How y'all doing today on this Tuesday afternoon? Snowing out there. So, in today's class, we're gonna look at some pages from our uh, book that I scanned and copied. So, will everybody, and basically what I'm gonna do is just walk through the pages and talk about them. And what's always helpful, I think I mentioned this when I went over the first paper one assignment, the education goals assignment from last week. Always have the assignment sheet out because when we talk about these pages, I'm going to tie in thoughts and jot down notes and basically tie everything together with the assignment. So let's open up the readings and we'll go through these. So, weekly sessions, everything's on the weekly sessions. Click on week 2. If you've noticed there, Tuesday, January 26th, we're going to look at pages 24 through 37 and 669 through 677. We'll get to that too. So we're opening this up. We're looking at the writing process. All right. So let's just kind of walk through, and I'll read along with these pages, and you can follow along. Pre-writing. If you were like many people, you may have trouble getting started with writing. Think about this. One of my goals in this class is for all of us to work on the papers slowly and a little bit at a time. It's a process writing approach. So nobody is staying up the night before the paper is due and starting this whole thing. And I'm asking you right now, if we were in class, I would ask you, what do you do? What do you work on for pre writing techniques to get started in the writing process? Do you struggle with starting your paper? And if so, those are some areas we can work on and talk about here. A mental block may develop when you sit down before a blank sheet of paper. You may not be able to think of an interesting topic or thesis, or you may have trouble coming up with relevant details to support a possible thesis. Even after starting an essay, you may hit snags, moments when you wonder, what else can I say, or where do I go next? The following pages describe 5 pre-writing techniques. 1, free writing, 2, questioning, 3, making a list, 4, clustering, and 5, preparing a scratch outline. So technique 1, free writing. This is one of my favorite techniques and something I always recommend everybody do. And this is what I asked you to do already when we went over the first assignment. If you look at the bottom of the first assignment, I note on the back of the sheet, start to write a few things. What do you want from this class? What do you want from college in general? What are your ultimate goals? Free writing means jotting down in rough sentences or phrases everything that comes to mind about a possible topic. See if you can write nonstop for 10 minutes or more. Do not worry about spelling or punctuating correctly, about erasing mistakes, about organizing material. It is what it says, free writing. I would ask you now, start writing, look at the assignment sheet again. Describe a few moments from your past education that jump out to you. Was there, say, a specific person, teacher, friend, parent during your high school years who had a big influence on you? If so, how and why? Was there a teacher from your elementary school? Remember, this paper is only 2 to 3 pages, so you're not going to have time to give a detailed history. Was there a moment in high school, like a class that jumped out to you? Was there a specific incident where you wrote a paper or studied for a test, or you struggled in a subject or area and you worked hard and overcame the struggle? These would be some things you would write, just free write about, off the top of your head, jump into them and start talking about them. Remember, another component of this paper is to talk about the present. Free write about the present. What are some struggles with this online, distant, remote, asynchronous learning, right? How is this different from being in class? What are some struggles? What are some advantages? What are some things you have to work on? Being on top of all the Blackboard classes, following along, because there's no one there, right? There's no one there on top of you. So this is all on your own. So think about that. Free write about that. Some areas where you perhaps struggled in the fall and you're cleaning those up now and fixing those. And then you could do some free writing on the future. What do you want? What are some areas of interest in school? What are some things that you're thinking about studying? What do you want from school? So just start free writing. That's one of my, I do that now. When I wrote my dissertation, my professor told me to free write on a bunch of stuff, and this is something I use now. Here's an example of a student model of free writing. You could look at that, model yours off of uh, that example. All right, moving on. Page 26, free writing. On page 27, you notice this method. Questioning is really important. And think about this. You can generate ideas and details by asking questions. And you notice a lot of these intertwine and overlap. Use questioning as a free writing technique. When I ask you about the three things, your past education, your present, and your future, why is it important? When did the important events take place? Where were you? Who was involved? What happened? How did they affect you? The good old fashioned questions there, right? The why, when, where, who, what, and how. Go back and write these down and be as detailed as possible. These are some really amazing jumping off points for your paper. So practice these for your questioning as another form of pre-writing, brainstorming. Make a list. I'm a huge list maker as well. So you could just take the free writing and the questioning and start to devise a list there. This is really helpful as well. I would recommend spending some time doing this. Make a list, everybody. Here's a student model of a list, and you could just start jotting down various components of past, present, and future education. What do you want? What do you want to do? What did you do? What have you overcome? What do you excel at? What do you struggle with? Start writing these down. And when you have a list, you could take what you wrote in that list as jumping off points and riff off those and explain and go into much more detail. So there's the list. Clustering, what is it? This is a spider web, right? The folks make the spider web. And I don't know if you do this. I don't use the spider web, the clustering so much, but I know a lot of people that do and think it's really important. This could be helpful if you write, and you see where it says movie going, if you do past in this one and make your clusters from the past present, make your clusters from that future, do that. So the clusterings really can be helpful as well. And the thing I rely on most is right here, preparing a scratch outline. I'm a huge outline person. So if you start to think, and I'm probably going to ask you to make an outline and send it to me. I'll let you know. I'll send you an email about that. But everything I write, everything I do, I make an outline for. So you could, think about an outline for this paper. I'm going to be uploading videos in the next couple of days where I talk about introductions, thesis statements, body paragraphs, conclusions. In your outline, in your intro, you're touching upon the three aspects of your paper: past, present, future. You're opening your paper with something catchy. It could be a scene, it could be an event, it could be a moment. Your thesis is going to be at the end of your intro. Then you can outline your body paragraphs, right? What do you want your first couple body paragraphs to be about? Your first two body paragraphs will probably be touching upon your past. You might spend a body paragraph on your present, maybe two. And then you will wrap up your paper with a body paragraph or two on the future, and then end it with your conclusion. So you can start outlining, what do you want to say in those body paragraphs? This would be what you include in your outline. So outline, there's an example. I think outlines, it's something I've used my whole collegiate career, and even now when I'm writing scholarly articles and papers and working on stuff, I'm constantly outlining. So that's the outline is really important. And then once you get all these notes, again, see, I'm running through this pretty quickly, but all this writing process, all this pre-work, this is essential for writing a good paper. I'm hoping to the days of, you pull up the assignment sheet, the paper's due the next day and you sit staring at your blank screen, your computer. I hope those days are over, or you start practicing these techniques. Because once you have all those things, the outline, the cluster, the free writing, the notes, your paper is pretty much done. You just have to put it into a coherent form. Once you have all those notes, writing this first draft is much simpler, much easier than just staring at a blank piece of paper or staring at a blank screen on your computer. So those are just, and here's a rough draft student model that walks you through some ideas, and here's some tips. And we have our teacher's copy here, so I have you some questions at the end that walk through the paper. But here are some quick notes about your rough draft, getting to the point where you have your notes to put the draft together. And once the paper's written, it's not done, right? I mean, the revising starts. And this is really important. Revising is as much a stage in the writing process as pre-writing, outlining, doing the draft. One writer has said about revision, it's like cleaning house, getting rid of all the junk, putting things in the right order. Once you have the draft, read this section here. I'm not going to read it word for word. You could read this. Here's what I always do no matter what when I complete a rough draft. I get dressed. I put shoes on. I stand in front of a mirror. I stand up and I read my paper out loud in a regular voice, pretty much like I'm talking now. I don't burn through it. I don't read it as fast as possible. I don't read it really slow. I read it in a normal reading voice. When you read your paper out loud, you will be able to catch a lot of mistakes that you can't normally catch when you're silently reading it. When you silently read, you skip over a bunch of words, or you have the vision, thoughts, structure, idea in your mind, but that's not necessarily what's on the paper. So once you have this draft, which we're going to be drafting, I'm not expecting you to have the draft ready now, but once you have the draft ready, I want you to read it out loud to yourself. Read it out loud in a normal voice, and you will be able to catch all those grammatical mistakes, sentence fragments, run-on sentences, if you're missing words, if you're using the wrong words, wrong tenses, etc. So, and this portion of this handout, revising, is really integral and really important. So check this out, all about revising, editing, and this stuff. And we'll look at this little essay, Cultivating a Resilient Spirit, in another video. But I think we touched upon some ideas for pre-writing and processes that you can use to construct your paper. I really want you to practice these things for the paper. All right. I will be talking to you soon in another video. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to do the introductions, thesis statements, and all that jazz, and I'll be uploading that. And again, like always, I'll send you an email when these videos are up. Again, email me with any questions, concerns, comments, complaints. Talk to you all soon.